Right. Welcome. Welcome. We're going to start with a meditation. So find your butts in your seat. We're going to take some breaths together here. Just feel the support of the seat beneath you and allow yourself to connect with your heart. And just take a deep breath right into your heart center. And when you exhale, let yourself make some sound on the exhale, and that stimulates the vagus nerve and relaxes your nervous system. Good. So drop into your heart. Feel your heart space right now. What I want you to do as you're feeling your heart space is I want you to slide it down. Slide your heart down into your lower belly, right? Or into your genitals. So you're going to slide your heart down, 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 past your diaphragm, past your belly button, and bring it down into your pelvis, lower belly, genitals, right? Whatever feels comfortable for you. So breathe that down. And then I want you to draw it up, draw the energy of the heart and your passion together, right? Like united, blending together. I want you to pull up that fire. Imagine that it's like mixing and blending and creating this beautiful, beautiful fire, and that the flames of that fire are moving up through the different chakras, through your power chakra, third chakra, up past the heart again, into the throat, and like in alignment, right, with your third eye and connecting to the universe. Whew. So I hope that was helpful to you, just a quick visualization and meditation. And so I'm just going to quickly recap what we've been doing this week. I've been sharing basically my broad, the breadth of my framework, the most important pieces of my framework. And the first day, on Monday, we talked about pleasure as revolution, right? Thinking about pleasure as the new world order, in like how pleasure can lead your life, how you can lead with pleasure, whether it's in your life, your love, your business, like letting intuition really run your business, run your life, run your love, moving from a place of compassion, heart, etc. We did intimacy wounds on day 2, which is like the deep level, attachment level traumas that often get in the way, and we don't even recognize how they get in the way of living the life that we want, of having what we want, whether it's, a bigger love, a more intimacy, whether we serve with intimacy, right? All of that stuff. Connecting to clients or holding space, often it is those early trauma wounds that get in the way. On the third day, we did internalized systems of oppression, right? Thinking about how white supremacy, capitalism, colonialism, and patriarchy influence our thoughts, how they run interference with the things that we want to do when we are providing a service or building our business or, just living our day-to-day lives, to be honest with you. And then the fourth day, yesterday, we did the 4 keys to owning your whole and holy power as a human being. And that is emotions, intuition, courage, and imagination. So today I'm going to share more about my program, my intimate one-on-one coaching program that I called Amplifire, because it's about coming into alignment with, your authentic self, spirit self, sexual self, through the healing of trauma, through the mindset work, and about like lighting a fire under the things that light you up, and how you plan on lighting up other people's lives, whether it's in your healership, in your leadership, regardless of where it is in your life, and your entrepreneurship. So I decided to shift from therapy to coaching because, you know, it was a natural extension around the work that I was already doing as a therapist. And I really wanted to be more results oriented, because therapy, you know, there are things that happen, dynamics that happen in therapy that I don't think are helpful. Coaching is very results oriented, and therapy can sometimes be the opposite of that. And I really wanted to combine the two. And I recognized through my own process that there were deeper layers, like around not just healing personal trauma, but around like ancestral layers when working with Black, Latinx, other women of color, especially like in leadership roles, or really like, you know, yeah, building businesses and stepping deeper into power. There was so much more complexity and layering in that process. And that a lot of the deeper trauma work wasn't being addressed in some of the coaching spaces. Like the focus on mindset, and mindset has really changed my life. And in fact, it's part of my program, but that there were deeper layers that felt so much more like not in this lifetime. It really encompasses like the collective traumas, ancestral legacies, and, you know, basically tapping into ancestral resilience, but you know, that there's stuff there, acknowledging that there's deeper stuff there. And I had this vision of revolutionary embodied leadership, like that we can, like, when more women step into their power, and like especially empathic women who tend to like give away their energy, if we could own our freaking energy and we could just show up however, like in whatever spaces we show up in, to really own our shit so cleanly that it just revolutionizes the world, just like that. Like we don't need to offer anything, but just how we walk into a room already changes the world. So that was my bigger vision. Like my bigger vision is about like, if we end our, like if we break our ties with internalized systems of oppression, they don't rule over us. They don't have power over us. And then we have power over ourselves. And then we can do whatever the heck we want, right? All the good stuff that we came here to do. And my zone of genius is supporting people behind the scene. I love being behind the scenes and supporting and, right, like holding behind the scenes. That is my zone. That's where I like to be. So let me get into some of the issues that come up. So when you're a healer, when you're a leader or an entrepreneur, all of your personal stuff is going to come up. All of it. I promise you, it's going to come up. And part of deconditioning is thinking that you can do, right, whether it's build a business, any aspect of your life, that you can do it just on strategy alone. So, and I think, you know, people fall in that trap a lot. Like when they get stuck, they look for more strategy, and it's not necessarily what's going to help you get unstuck. So at the very foundation is our experiences with trauma. I see it over and over and over again. Every person who's walked into my office when I still had an office, or every person that comes into my virtual holding space, when we wind in, it always comes back to the same thing. So experiences with trauma, which includes the ancestral, the collective, and our conditioning into systems of oppression, play into or prevent us from playing a bigger game in our life, love, and business. And I can tell you stories about that. But you got to get into the roots. You got to get into the deeper roots of the problem, right? If you think this is on the surface, if you think this is just mindset, right? Like you may find yourself doing mindset, but then you start feeling some frozenness in your body, and you start feeling this place in you that is like, it's just, you can't move forward, right? In the roots, you will dig up that muck. It can come up as fears around being visible, right? On social media, or even like in person, if you're doing in-person stuff. Fears that nobody will like or buy what you have to offer, or not making an offer because deep down it hits into some rejection wounds. There may be some throat blocks that stop you from speaking the truth you have inside, because you're going to get unfollowed, you're going to get rejected, people are going to be pissed at you, maybe even your family's going to be pissed at you. Or maybe it's coming out of the broom closet as a healer, right? Maybe it's owning your bruja, right? And these, like I said before, they can feel like real blocks, like places where, like walls in your nervous system where there's just like this full stop no, right? Like when I was still doing my straight game as a psychologist, and I was starting to have spiritual awakenings, and I started having connection to my ancestors, and I started channeling, I was like, I cannot bring this into my psychology work. There's no way. And so what the feeling that I had was that if I talk about this stuff in sessions with clients, I'm going to get killed. Like that's what my nervous system was telling me. I'm going to get killed. And so I really had to like be with that fear so that I could move through it and begin trusting myself and like bringing it out little by little until I could really own it. So again, your brain is going to think, when it hits those blocks, it's going to think that it needs more strategy, and you're going to buy another course, right? You're going to sign up for another business course, or you're going to hire a business coach, which is great. Do that. That's wonderful, because I'm not a business coach. My strategy is intuition. It's pussy, right? But what's really underneath those blocks, right? The place in you that gets like that full stop in your nervous system is trauma. And unfortunately, right, even though these survival patterns may have not started with you, maybe part of your reason for being here right now or stepping into your leadership is to heal some of those ancestral legacies, right? And you know, I focus on the trauma work as someone who supports healers and coaches, because I feel that part of the mandate, right? Part of your reason for being here is because you came to do some of the things that your ancestors may have been gifted with that they didn't get to do, right? And it touches every area of your life. It touches your finances, it touches your love relationships, it touches your parenting. So it's like at the root of all of this stuff is the trauma healing and whatever healing, you know. So, you know, when we don't heal them, they run the show, and we can really, you know, it's not, you're going to trip, right? And you're going to fall. That's just going to happen. But the trauma healing really helps you. When you trip, you recover so much faster, right? And I think that, you know, when I was studying psychology, part of what I was doing is career psych. We did a little bit of career psych. And what they even told us in the training was like, everything is connected to everything. So we can be focused on your entrepreneurship, but it's gonna improve your love relationships. Your relationship to yourself ultimately is going to improve all of these other places, right? And when we don't do the healing, it runs the show. We don't really even realize how we're blocking ourselves or what's being blocked. So the key is to knowing what the blocks are, knowing what the fears are, understanding how you run energy in your body, and learning to track it, right? So that you can follow it and you can follow yourself and you can meet yourself from moment to moment. knowing how your body wants to release things. And that's different for each person. That's why this program is really individualized. So you can meet yourself emotionally and energetically, especially when you're coming up against a block or a fear. And then choosing how you engage the fear, right? Knowing what's your stuff, right? What's your stuff to heal, and discarding what's not yours. Like for example, when a thought comes in your head, when you're having a thought around unworthiness, or you're having that feeling, then you can be like, oh yeah, that's not a thought. That's not mine. That didn't originate with me, because I'm a divine being. So that's clearly not mine. So you can really separate that. And sometimes I have stuff come in like, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. That was a really common one that I was feeling. And now I hear that and I was like, yeah, that's just like what my ancestors, had to deal with, or that's connected to throat blockages. And right, I'm going to delete that. That's not mine. I'm not engaging that. And then I just keep doing what I'm doing. And then I say the thing that I want to say. So the quality and depth of your relationships, whether it's in your business, in your home, with your children, with your finances, it's all relational. It's all relational. And because it's all relational, it needs to come back to intimacy with yourself, the energetic relationship that you have with yourself. It all comes down to that. So Amplifier is my 6-month intensive one-on-one program to bring your intimately connected, integrated, whole divine self to your life, love, and leadership. And so we do the deep inner work. We do mind, body, and spirit alignment, energy amplification with paradigm shifting pleasure. So I created this out of my own experience, right? Like at first, I didn't grow up like thinking that I was ever going to be an entrepreneur. That wasn't even part of the picture. This is not something that I ever thought I would do, because it just wasn't something that my family had done. It wasn't in the realm of possibility for me. I went through this whole trauma healing process and working on those deeper intimacy wounds. And that got me connected to, oh, I have a voice. Like maybe people actually want to hear what I have to say. And I started to trust myself more there and bring that out. And that's how it was born. It was healing my trauma first, and then deciding, oh, I need to share this. So, and as I was building my business, I was recognizing I would actually there were moments where I would hit against these blocks especially around my voice, sharing what I feel is so true for me. And I would be in communication with my ancestors and asking for help and getting unblocked. Then the tools that I learned in the 4 years that I did my somatics program, those are the tools that I use to unblock myself in order to be able to step in more deeply. And then after I did all that intimacy healing, I realized that there was a whole nother layer. There was a whole nother layer around internalized systems of oppression, including stuff around white spirituality that over the course of these past 2 years, I've been really sort of pulling down so that I could bring this more passionate, so I could bring my Latinidad into my work, my humanity and my authentic expression into the work that I offer. And I also recognize through that process of pulling down things around white spirituality and how I can show up in a space as a spiritual person, I recognize that there were additional barriers for Black women, for Latinx women, other women of color, around healing of trauma, stepping into more power, what that looks like, what we're allowed to do and not do. And that, maybe more support was needed in this white coaching world around those particular issues. and then really shifting through mentorship and coaching that I got, following pleasure, intuition, pussy, spirit in every aspect of my life, because I was in that space of like hustle. I was in the space of scarcity mindset. I was doing all the bro marketing, and it wasn't aligned with what I believed in. And so shifting out of that has been a big, a big shift in my business. And it's like, oh, I really want to share that, because I think that's part also of like this new world order, right? Like the bigger picture of this deep internal work, right? Like creating a new economy, right? Where women are more empowered, where we are tending to people and not exploiting people or using scarcity tactics to sell things, but that we can really invite people in, and that we can do it in a totally different way, more connected, more personable, and much more compassionate. And I also noticed like how many programs out there focus on one aspect of healing, whether it's mindset or body work, right? And I did things like I did 4 years of body work and I didn't do any mindset. And then I did a whole bunch of mindset, and I had to sort of, bring them together and into alignment in order to then like, okay, this is what I'm wanting to offer. So I'm going to grab a little bit of tea. What I want you to hear is that I believe that the world needs you fully being yourself, being in your humanity, your truth, in alignment, in your power, knowing exactly who you are, and in your fierce expression. That's what I believe wholeheartedly. And our work together is a whole system dismantling and compassionate reclaiming process that is centered on 3 principles, right? This is where all the things come into alignment. So it's pleasure first, right? Grounding in what feels good, grounding in what's working, where things are aligned, right? Because we often go into a critical mindset like, oh, I need to work on this, or this is a problem, right? And we're dropping into our 5 senses and expanding our capacity to receive attention, love, money, support. And this is sort of the deeper work of pleasure. Sometimes we experience pleasure in patterns that don't serve our expansion, right? For me, it showed up as this sense of satisfaction in the struggle. Like I actually got off on things being hard. And this kept me from embracing an easier path for such a long time. So what I'm getting here is it's really about shadow work and owning some of the ways that we block ourselves and kind of enjoy blocking ourselves because we like not getting what we want, right? It's edgy, it's exciting. It doesn't need to be the scary thing that people make it out to be. It can actually be fun. And I like to use humor in my work, so I like to poke a little bit of fun into it. And then the second piece is emotional regulation, right? Healing those intimacy wounds and down regulating your nervous system through the early attachment work. And these, like I said, can obstruct your access to your fullest and juiciest life force. So bringing your heart in alignment with your sex, with, sexual and spiritual power are one, but often they're separate. And so we do that using intuition as a guide, because I like to work with empathic, sensitive mujeres. Your intuition is your gift, is a way for you to self-heal. And I can help you do that using your breath, movement, and voice, basically. And the third piece is mindset, right? Our brains do what our brains do. They just do the thing, right? They like to be comfortable. They like to play the same broken records of the past, right? And if you don't interrupt it, they just keep, that train just keeps running on the same track to the same destination, right? And what we do with the mindset is that we intentionally insert new stories that help break down the conditioning, the outdated, harmful patterns of thinking that get in the way. right? That's how we create a new reality of what's possible for you. So my desire and my pleasure is to dismantle those power blocks, right? So that you can be fully connected, embodied, owning your energy, owning your expression, and tapping into your own intuition so that you can learn how to heal yourself when you get blocked with the generational stuff, with the collective trauma, and accessing pleasure to create more fulfilling connections, right? With your clients, with yourself, inside of your partnerships, with, people that you hire even. And trusting your healthy power, right? So many of us don't trust our power. We're afraid of it, and that's totally by design. Trusting your healthy power and courageous leadership in a way that is authentic to you, that is really the fullest expression, that you can bring those more exuberant selves into your spiritual work or into your healing work. Like, it doesn't need to look a certain way, right? That's often how we get caught up. You're everything that you've been waiting for, right? It's all already inside of you. It's a process of unveiling and revealing, right? And I believe that we're all on a journey to transform ourselves and transform the world with the energy, right? All of the energy that we're here to bring. And, it's not about doing, it's about being, like walking into a room and like just shifting the room with how you walk into it. So at the end of the 6 months, you'll